it's just so much easier to not get anything done. Like it's so much easier to stay home and not do it. So why go through all that trouble? And I guess that's the point here with the Republicans. I mean, I'm no George Santos defender. In fact, didn't know who he was until after he was elected. Never even heard his name.
I'm glad that you brought that up. I too am no George Santos. I'm not a George Santos apologist.
Right.
I'm not a George Santos fan.
No.
But he was one of our own.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at least he held a spot that was a vote that you could use, right? And like, it's not like you have to like come up with some sort of lifelong commitment to George Santos. You're not marrying him in a ceremony. Primary him next time he's up for election. Like, beat him. Like,
He had already said he wasn't seeking re-election.
He wasn't even seeking
He was just
re-election.
going to go away.
Exactly. I mean, so why not just let him go away? Especially when, as you point out, Sarah, and this is a big factor, he was not convicted of anything.
Right.
Yes, there were a lot of suspicions. Yes, he clearly did some shady things, but the people elected him, and unless there's some really overwhelming reason to do it, he should just stay in there until he's done. That's what they should have done. Instead, they gave up a seat for a few months here. I mean, it shouldn't make that big of a difference. But as you point out, there's a really small majority here. You had people like McCarthy leaving in the middle of his term. Other Republicans have already said they're retiring at the end of this term if one of them decides to leave early. God forbid you have a sickness, an illness, some health issue. This could get really upside down really quickly. And if you lose the majority, you're in serious trouble. This could mean unfettered Biden for a few months before the election and in a sort of lame duck area if he were to lose. And all that's really bad. So protecting this would have been smart. Just hold on to him, deal with the fact that yes, the late night shows are going to mock you for him being on your team for a few months. Get over it.
Right. And I say this all the time, Pat, and I feel like a broken record, but I keep saying, I wish I didn't have to keep saying this every day. Who needs enemies with friends like these? Mm-hmm. What is the point of electing these people if they're just going to piss away the majority that they have?
It's a great question, and there's no good answer to it, except that they don't make much of a difference. They never do.
Yeah.
We always hope they will. We want them to. We tell them to, and they never do. But I love this new situation we're in America where just an accusation is plenty to completely overturn somebody's life.
Right.
It's the case in George Santos. I mean, clearly, I think he lied about some things, but he wasn't tried or convicted of anything.
No due process.
And you got the same thing going on with Trump in the Supreme Court, where they're just assuming he's an insurrectionist. Well, he hasn't been charged, let alone tried and convicted. How do you make that assumption and just proceed from that direction? And they did the same thing with Santos and just kicked him out.
Well, you point out that like we do this cute little thing in America now where we just totally upend someone's life and career based off of allegations. But you'll notice it only goes one way.
Right. That's true.
It's never the Bob Menendezes of the world.
No. And there's a lot of evidence against Bob Menendez.
Right.
I mean, gold bars are kind of a pretty good, piece of evidence.
Really, you think?
Yeah. Yeah. Now, I don't know that they necessarily came from Egypt, but that couldn't be that hard to track down.
No. Gold bars are just not the type of thing most people have. You know what I mean? Like they might have...
Wait, hold on. Are you telling me you don't have a stash of gold bars in your coat pockets of your closet?
Not now. I paid for my gas on the way in with one, so I don't currently have any. But I mean, like that is a bigger thing. By the way, it's been going on for a much longer time. There's been a full investigation on that. Look,
Exactly.
Santos doesn't seem like a good guy. It does seem like he definitely made some stuff up and misled voters, which is a serious offense. But I will say it's not an offense of the level, like it's not like he, admitted to sexual assault or like murder. I mean, it's bad for him to do that. He should be like the appropriate punishment was probably him going away and not getting another term. And honestly, if it was, it would still be unfair to Santos, and he deserves due process. He deserves fairness, just like anybody else. But it would be unfair to Santos if they threw him out just because there has not been due process yet just to see if he's committed any actual crimes. But I will say, if there was if the Republicans had 245 seats, it wouldn't be that big of a deal to everybody else. It would still be a big deal to him, and it would be a big deal to our justice process, I think, generally. But when you have a big lead, it probably would not be that big of a story. This is a massive story because there's no wiggle room We see how close these things are. I mean, I know we're going to be talking about the Mayorkas vote. We're talking about, do they pass it by one? Do they lose by one vote? These things are happening all the time. The answer to this, of course, is to win more seats.
Right.
But right now, this is still a massive factor.
So let's talk about the Mayorkas impeachment, because I like to give credit where credit is due. So great job, the House of Representatives. Yesterday, you found your balls. Congratulations. They voted, but this was 214 to 213 to impeach Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas over his handling of the border. And this was only because, to your point, Stu, only because Steve Scalise, who was gone getting treatment for blood cancer, came back and was able to tip the scales. But 3 GOP reps, this was Ken Buck, Tom McClintock, and Mike Gallagher. Now, Buck and Gallagher, neither of them are seeking re-election, so they don't have to worry about coming back to their constituents and answering to them. So they broke rank again and sided with the Democrats. Do you trust a wiggle room of 3?
Oh.
Do you trust that there won't be 2 defectors who won't just join the Democrats every single time something important comes up on the deck and they're like, nope, we don't want to do it. And it's like, this is where we're at. So, I mean, I guess good on you guys, I guess, for finally impeaching Mayorkas. Now, is it going to go through the Senate? I mean, they need 2/3. No, it won't. But the point is, which I think Tom McClintock didn't get, because he said that he opposed this for the same reasons that he opposed what he called the sham impeachment of Donald Trump. The Constitution reserves impeachment for treason, bribery, or other high crimes or misdemeanors, and Mayorkas is guilty of maladministration, but that is not grounds for impeachment. Really? Is it? Is that all that this is? It's maladministration. So allowing unvetted strangers, who, by the way, some of these people are on the terror watch list, allowing these people unfettered access into our country, that's not treasonous behavior? Making Americans less safe because you know that you're inviting strangers into the country and you can't vet them all, that isn't treasonous behavior? I just don't understand how we're living at a time where anyone, let alone 3 Republicans, can go, no, we have to listen. It was the same as the sham impeachment of Donald Trump. No, actually, now it's real. And because they've made this big fit about Donald Trump's phone call with Ukraine, now our own party can't say, okay, well, it was bullshit when they did it, but now we actually have a case, and I don't care what they're going to say about it. We know that we have a case to lay out, and we're going to follow through with it just based on principle. We don't even have that.
Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, I sort of get the point at some level, like, right, where I don't necessarily like the idea that now from now to the end of time, we're going to have impeachments in every single one of these administrations.
What about when there really is a case for it?
Well, number one, there's a case. And number two, I mean, I hate to be a kid, but like they started it,
yes.
right? Like,
I literally said that the other day.
Yeah, okay, good. I'm glad we're on the same page. The very adult, mature stage that we're on.
It's true.
But it's true. I mean, like they did like this. This is a known consequence of their actions during the Trump administration. They impeached him twice. Really, the second one, they didn't even try to make a case. They were like, well, remember that thing you saw in the news the other day? Let's do it real quick before you forget it. They didn't even like try to build a case on it. The other one was just ridiculous, as we pointed out at the time. I don't like the precedent. I don't think it's necessarily a good one. And there's some argument that the founders actually looked at this as impeachment as something they thought would be more common and it should be used more frequently. And they did look at maladministration and said, well, that maybe that's not enough. But like, this is more than that. This is ignoring laws are passed by Congress. You have to execute the laws. They are intentionally not executing the laws. And the only problem I have with the Mayorkas impeachment is, are we targeting the right person here? Because, Mayorkas is doing this and he deserves to be thrown out. But he's not doing this on his own. Right. He's not getting direction from Joe Biden saying, shut down that border. And he's going, no, Joe, I will not. He is just following the procedures and approaches that Joe Biden is telling him to, or at least whoever Joe Biden's handler is that day is telling him to, maybe his nurse, whoever's bringing him water, whatever's going on there. The point is, this is Biden's policy he's executing. And I think like Republicans look at this rightfully and say, we're going after him on this other thing. Maybe it wouldn't politically be beneficial to us to go after him on this too. But like, if you're going to go through this impeachment hearing, which they're going to do with Biden, It should be part of it. This is his policy. He's the one that is directing this. And I think, Republicans want to put the focus on Mayorkas because the border is such an important issue. I'm fine with it. He deserves to be impeached too. But let's not leave Uncle Joe out of this.
Don't stop there. And to Stu's point, Pat, I believe Marjorie Taylor Greene has introduced several times articles of impeachment on Joe Biden for that very thing, because of his handling of the border. Irregardless, I shouldn't say that. That's not a word. Regardless of any other investigation that they're doing into the Biden crime family. To throw all of that out, you still have enough to impeach him.
You do. And you've got the two elements here. You got they started it. And number two, same to you, but twice as much more of it.
Oh, wow.
And you can't get around either one of those.
Part of the rubber your glue clause?
That's the next clause after this particular really crucial one. What's weird, though, is they've taken to even calling this a racist move, that they're trying to get him out of office because of racism. I didn't even know the guy was, what ethnic background? It turns out he was born in Cuba.
Cuba, yeah.
No,
Really?
I didn't know that. I figured there was a reason for Alejandro Mayorkas, but I didn't realize. I mean, like you, he's white passing. I had no idea.
That's fair. I am
Nobody
told
knows
I'm
he's
white
from
passing.
Cuba.
That is so funny. I had not heard that. Wow.
That's interesting. Because I always think of Mayorkas, and I always think of Greek yogurt. It just feels like it would be like a
right.
You'd go into the
you
refrigerated
could see Greece
case,
or maybe Spain or something.
Yeah, it'd be like Oikos, and then you'd have Mayorkas right next to it. And it's like 20 grams of protein. That's every time
and
I
it's
think
low in sugar.
Yeah, so I thought he was Greek. I don't know.
Well, it turns out that this Greek yogurt is spoiled. It has gone bad, and it needs to be thrown in the trash where it belongs. If you like this clip and you want to see the full episode, click here. And if you want to subscribe to the channel, come on, you know you do. Click here.